Welcome to the Flow Map On Demand series. Session 14. The Unknown. Curiosity versus Fear. Uncertainty is not the absence of safety. It is the presence of possibility. Uncertainty is one of the hardest things we as humans are constantly having to face. Although we are meaning-making creatures, the brain's primary function, more than rational thought, more than creativity, is prediction. It is constantly constructing models of what will happen next, using only past experience to organize our future into something navigable, a safe enough place where we can survive. When the future is genuinely unclear, when any diagnosis of it is uncertain, any relationship in question, any clear path ahead is not yet visible, the brain's prediction system goes into overdrive. And what we feel in uncertainty, especially in our body, is anxiety, dread, the restless searching for certainty that isn't there. Today, we're not going to find certainty. It is elusive at best. What we are going to find is something more durable. A different relationship to not knowing. One that allows you to remain present and functional in the midst of what cannot yet be resolved. Coherence breathing of 5 in and 5 out will be our technique today. The fear response that uncertainty triggers is real and psychological. Coherence breathing is among the most researched and supported interventions for reducing this response, lowering cortisol, calming the amygdala, and reactivating the prefrontal cortex, which is where the capacity to tolerate uncertainty actually lives. We are building that capacity breath by breath. We will begin our first inhale now, breathing in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Remembering to breathe in and out through the nose. Each breath a small act of presence in the middle of whatever feels uncertain. Just finding your rhythm. And continue with these cycles as we begin our grounding. In this moment, not the future, not unresolved questions, but this specific moment. What is actually here? Solid ground beneath you, some surface being held by it that is holding you. Air moving in and out of your lungs, cool and warm. The weight of your body. These things are certain. These things are real. Fear of the unknown can only ever live in the future, in our thoughts of what will happen, what it will look like. Never what is entirely real, never what is present. The breath lives in the present. Every time we return to this breath, we are choosing the real over the imagined threat. Five in and five out. Being here with this breath, not in the future. What is certain is now, and it is enough to stand on in this moment. Maintaining your breathing, 5 in, 5 out. Anchor 1. The brain's relationship with uncertainty. Research in neuroscience has found something rather counter to how we understand uncertainty. Our brain is wired to reduce uncertainty, and current culture lends strongly to us gripping and overmanaging to avoid any unwanted outcome. However, research finds that when we replace anxiety with play and curiosity, there is a paradox. We begin to deliberately choose to increase uncertainty in order to experience the pleasure of reducing it. In other words, we feel uncertainty and actually respond as curious of all possible outcomes and become less fearful of any negative outcomes. Curiosity, in many ways, acts as more rational and accurate predictor of the future than does anxiety. In one study, participants who knew they would definitely receive a shock showed lower stress than participants who only knew they might. Certainty, even when painful certainty, is less threatening to our prediction system than not knowing. This explains a great deal of human behavior. Why people stay in situation that is less beneficial but predictable. rather than changing our circumstance or environment. Any known discomfort, however painful, is at least predictable. Understanding this doesn't make uncertainty easier, but it makes our response to it carry more meaning. You are not alone in any feelings of fear that arise in not knowing. It's normal. It's neurological and biological. And because of this, with practice, the nervous system can develop a higher tolerance for any uncertainty. Research continues to find that breathwork helps establish more physiological tolerant states that naturally regulate our neurological tendency for fear and stress in uncertain situations. Find your coherent rhythm of 5 in and 5 out. Building that tolerance now, one cycle of breath at a time. Anchor 2. The Taoist relationship with not knowing. The Tao Te Ching begins with a paradox that is, in a way, a complete philosophy of uncertainty. The Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. Lao Tzu is saying the most important thing, the ground of all being, the source of all movement, cannot be fully known or contained in any model. The attempt to name it and hold it still, holding too tightly, is the beginning of its loss. The Taoist response to this is not some polarized choice of despair or denial. It is Wu Bai, a quality of moving with what is, rather than forcing what isn't. Not passivity, but a kind of intelligent responsiveness that does not require the future to be certain before engaging with the present. Even in knowing a painful certainty, and instead of denial, accepting all that it will reveal, all that it can teach. Water does not need to know the complete geography of a landscape before it begins to move. It meets each stone and each bank and finds its way around. It arrives at the ocean not by having a route mapped in advance, but by following its own nature in response to what it actually encounters. In the moment, never before never after, only ever adapting to the present. You have an unforced and curious nature too. And in times of uncertainty, that nature, the steady center of you, the qualities that remain constant through every season of your life, these are more reliable than any certainty any future will ever be able to offer. The future can never inform us in the way the present always does. Maintaining your breathing, 5 in and 5 out. Breathing like water, moving without the full map. Trusting your nature. Anchor 3. What you do know. In the midst of genuine uncertainty, there are almost always things you do know. You know your own values. What matters to you, regardless of how the unknown is resolved. You know who has been steady for you through previous uncertainties. You know what has helped before. You know in the body the difference between a fear that is telling you something important, something present and worth protecting, and a fear that is more of a prediction running on an old pattern in some new territory. And perhaps most importantly, you know that you have survived uncertainty before. In fact, many times before. Every previous chapter that felt genuinely scary, you navigated through. Not always perfectly, but through. The future is also navigated this way, not by eliminating uncertainty, but by bringing yourself intact, regulated, grounded, ready to meet whatever unfolds, not abandoning you, not abandoning what you love, what you value. A few more final cycles, 5 in, 5 out. breathing like water as you find your way, as you always have before. Stay in your breath. What is unknown doesn't stop the water from flowing. Open to all possibilities. We replace fear with curiosity, with playfulness. Thank you for having me guide you today. May we meet again.